Ben Johnson is going to take his offense to another level with Caleb Williams at center. But there's an elephant in the room we have to address first that will shut down this offense before it ever gets started. The Bears are fundamentally one of the worst teams in football last year. Like, literally failing high school level stuff. Like, not hitting the subscribe button kind of bad fundamentals. On almost every play, someone ran the wrong route, forgot an assignment, or missed a key block. In any offense, he's focused on making quarterback jobs tough. But in Ben Johnson specifically, it makes it literally impossible. Johnson's smash mouth offense requires an established and explosive run game to build everything else off of. There are no line up wide and run your corner off type of assignments for receivers. The tight splits Johnson calls is ideal for giving the offense numbers and angles, but requires everyone to be involved in making the run game work. Missed blocks, forgetting assignments, or not going full speed with your motions will disrupt the run game, and disrupting the run game shuts down this whole offense. These terrible fundamentals can all be traced back to the lack of accountability from the previous coaching staff. Prime Tom Brady couldn't have been successful in that situation, let alone a rookie quarterback. So for Ben Johnson to turn Caleb into a star, it's going to have to start with the fundamentals. Johnson is the exact opposite of the Bears' prior coaching staff in almost every way. Johnson actually values accountability and holds players to a high standard. The difference between these two groups is obvious when you go back and watch the Lions and Bears matchup from last year. Ben Johnson's offense marched up and down the field like a well-oiled machine. But the Bears didn't even pick up the first down until right before halftime in that Thanksgiving Day game because every drive was stopped by someone blowing an assignment. So while Johnson's scheme was better, it wasn't the actual deciding factor between these two offenses. Accountability was. The Lions offense, which involves a lot of deception to get defenders out of place or better angles for blockers, had 11 guys who knew their assignments, did their jobs every snap, and bought into the offense. When the Lions called it inside zone play, you could see a star receiver like Amon-Ra St. Brown actually trying to dig out a linebacker from the box for David Montgomery. Or when a running back screen was called, linemen knew they had to at least get hands on a defender before releasing, not just letting ends and tackles go untouched to disrupt the timing or bat the ball down. It's little stuff like that that makes a world of a difference. The offense gets an explosive run because St. Brown gets between the ball carrier and the defender, or the drive isn't stalled by the running back screen getting blown up by the end that's been tossed into his 14 to turn and chase if he ever goes unblocked. Here's a perfect example of what I'm talking about in the first preseason game from this year. LB3's block is the literal difference between first and goal or fourth down and a field goal attempt. Caleb's job is going to get a lot easier when all those little things are done correctly because it means the run game is working, which creates easier throws. Ben Johnson is going to come in and hold guys accountable. It's his nature. We've already been seeing report after report about guys being pulled from team periods for not knowing their assignments and responsibilities since training camp started.
Seeing him kick the ones off, we not wasting no time, so that's how detailed you gotta be. You gotta know what you're doing on that play. You better get it right the first time, or you off. We deserve it. Yeah, because we should know what's going on. We got the playbook. We get some of the script, and we should be able to go out there and do the play.
It goes to show how ingrained into the Bears culture the lack of accountability was, that you had veterans and leaders that didn't know the playbook and had to be pulled off the field. But it also displays how little patience Johnson has for mental mistakes. So while last season was really frustrating to watch, I'm equally as hopeful for the effect Ben Johnson is going to have on this team and what it's going to do for Caleb Williams' development. But how high Caleb Williams' stardom will go is really going to depend on how well he fits into Ben Johnson's system. So as I mentioned earlier, Ben Johnson runs an old school smash mouth offense with a modern twist. He wants to run the ball down a defense's throat and use his shifts and motions to create better blocking angles, pull defenders out of position, and get a numbers advantage. But to take it even further, he runs the majority of his motions and shifts from tight splits so he can get his receivers involved in blocking, giving his offense a 10-on-9 numbers advantage. His strong run game opens up the passing game because defenses are forced to commit more people to stopping the run, which opens up more shots down the field with play action. But his usage of motion, shifts, and tight splits doesn't just stop at the run game. He also uses them to create similar advantages and desired matchups in the passing game to create easier throws for his quarterbacks. So pretty much most quarterbacks could actually be successful in this offense as long as the run game is flowing. And with Caleb's natural ability, he should easily become a star. But there are a couple ways I can see Ben Johnson taking his offense and Caleb's stardom to another level. The most obvious way is going to be with his mobility. Caleb is obviously a much better runner than Jared Goff, and he can actually pick up chunks with his legs. By incorporating some of those designed runs and read options into this offense, it's going to become unstoppable. Even if Caleb only has to carry the ball a couple times a game, it becomes something defenses will always have to be aware of and account for. That gives Ben another way he could put defenders in a bind. He could use the threat of Caleb running to manipulate defenders into better blocking angles or by giving him an even better numbers advantage. That doesn't even factor in how much his mobility can help in the passing game. Ben could incorporate some of the craziest RPOs that we've ever seen. Or he could use Caleb's speed on boot actions to have defenses over pursue, creating openings to throw against the grain. But that isn't even the crazy part. If there are two things we know about these guys, it's that Ben loves to design crazy ass trick plays, and Caleb does better better improv than the Impractical Jokers. What would happen if they combined the two though and created controlled chaos? Like plays that are designed to break down and get to a second reaction play. It would be something that we've never seen before on a football field, and it could create a whole new category of passing plays. Like just picture this. 3 wideouts to the right. One's running a stick, one's running a 10-yard in, and the third one's got a post to stretch the field. Caleb hits the back step with his drop, he spins out to his right, and now the receivers all kick it into the scramble mode. And at this point, you're basically just looking at a flood concept unfolding on the move. That might be a little bit more on the crazier side, but I wouldn't put anything past Ben Johnson. And the man at the center of this revolution would be Caleb Williams. But this all does come with a caveat. Having a great run game and creating crazy plays isn't going to matter if Caleb doesn't get better with his development. Too often last year, he was way too slow to gain his eyes in the right place, and his accuracy was way too inconsistent. I'm hoping a lot of that could just be attributed to the abysmal coaching staff he had last year, and we'll see a lot of improvements under this new staff. But if it doesn't, he could go down as one of the biggest what-ifs in NFL history. So with Caleb Williams having all the raw tools to be special, arm talent, mobility, creativity, he just needs the right environment to thrive. I believe Ben Johnson is bringing that environment. He's not just installing a playbook, he's scrapping a culture that's been broken for a while and replacing it with one built on accountability, precision, and doing all the little things right. If the Bears buy into that mindset, then Caleb won't just be another young quarterback that never figured it out in the NFL. He'll be the star of an offense that's innovative, physical, and built to stress defenses in every way possible. And that's where things get really interesting, because once the foundation is set, Johnson can start layering the kinds of concepts and wrinkles that turn a quarterback with a lot of potential into a superstar. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Emmett Sport from the RFL Show, and I'll see you in the next video.